This is like a Pink Floyd concert when there's one from behind a wall or something. We could do that. Please welcome Mr. Murray McArthur on stage. This chair out the way. Grab yourself a microphone, sir.
Hello, London. How are you?
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, all right. This is like the second time in a month I think we've met.
It is indeed. We did Manchester Comic Con.
We did.
A month ago.
It is, pretty much. Time flies. Was that your first panel that you've done there?
It's the first panel, and this is the first Comic Con I've ever done as myself signing. I mean, that was the first one I'd ever been to, actually, Manchester.
Wow. Yeah.
But that was to promote
Gods and Warriors. Yeah.
Gods and Warriors.
So that's the first one you'd been to, his first panel. How did you find the panel? What was it like being on stage? And
it's great, although I did, my father brought me up because I was staying with them down in the West Country, and he did say that I wasn't mic'd up properly, he couldn't hear me, so can you hear me, London? No.
Yes.
Excellent, okay, well, I won't make the same mistake twice.
I could hear you in Manchester, to be honest. I was way at the back filming.
I could
hear
and
you.
he's a bit deaf, he's about nearly 80, so...
He didn't wander off going, you know what, I don't want to listen to him.
No, he's probably heard his son too many times, awful lot anyway. Yeah. No, but it's very good and enjoyable, and that's why I've come back to another one. I enjoyed it. It's good.
Nice, it's good to have you back.
I've never been to London, and it's a lovely place. I went for a walk last night, and it's amazing. I had no idea this place existed.
What have you seen so far?
I went on the pier. I'd say that compares better. It's better than Brighton Pier or all the other ones I've been on. It's a much nicer older pier. The buildings along the seafront here are amazing nick. It looks very smart. Looks like a really nice town.
It's like some Comic Cons you go to generally are smack in the middle of a city. You know, be it Manchester or London, and you look around, there's tower blocks and stuff everywhere. So it is quite nice when you can just go out of this venue and you've got the ocean there.
Yeah, and the hotel has put us up at a sea view, so woke up this morning to the shushing of the waves.
Nice. Relaxing. So predominantly we're here to talk about Game of Thrones, but we are going to cover a few bits and pieces because Murray has got a pretty impressive filmography. If anybody does have any questions, please stick your hand up. I think we'll probably try, if we got another microphone that we can get, that way I'm not running up and down with that. I'll ask Murray a question, run down, grab the microphone and then come back up. But, so Game of Thrones, one thing that always fascinates me about, I think it applies to mainly two shows, one of them's Walking Dead, one of them's Game of Thrones, is when you go for the audition process, will they say, right, we want you for 3 episodes? Or do they say, we want you to do this role? Because, I mean, obviously with Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, you don't know how long people are going to last.
Yeah. No, they normally keep it very secret what you're going up for. And normally for nearly all, I'll tell you the process I went through, because I can't guarantee it's the same for everyone. But generally the auditions are held in dingy basements in Soho. They're not very glamorous. It was about the 3rd time I'd auditioned for Game of Thrones before I got what was an unnamed part, which then in another season became a named part and was more featured. So you don't really know. You also have to sign things called NDAs, non-disclosure agreements nowadays. I auditioned, I probably can tell you it now, but I auditioned for the Maleficent 2, as it would be called, a couple of months ago. Before I even got into the audition, I had to sign several legal documents swearing I wouldn't mention this to anyone, even for the casting. And quite often you don't know what you're reading for. If it's not something that's pre-written, you've no idea what you're auditioning for. But nevertheless, you will still have to learn quite often 3 pages of dialogue, and that's quite tricky when you don't really know much about the character or anything. You have to guess it all from the dialogue you're auditioning with. And so the process for me was dingy basement. It's either Nina Gold or Robert Stern you meet for Game of Thrones. For the 3rd time round, I auditioned for Robert Stern, and has played a wildling elder, as he was called then. And they were described in the character description as a group of, they look much older than their years because it's harsh up north. Which meant that the rougher you looked, the more likely to get a role. So there you go. No one would believe I was 25, would they? But
that'd be quite nice. You could walk in and go, I spent hours getting ready, and then you go, brilliant, you're perfect, and come on.
I have to say, I think it's the beard more than anything. I mean, I kind of grew the beard for this part. My agent looks after 3 other actors, Kieran Hines, who played Mace Mance Raider, Indira Varma and Dame Diana Rigg. So he already had an in with them, and so I knew roughly what they were going to be expecting. And I think the reason it swung it, you can tell I've got a nice RP voice, but about the third time I worked out that they wanted a northern accent. So if you ever see the clip that I do, I'm doing a broad North Yorkshire accent, which they do give you training on as well, actually. You have a voice coach when you're doing it, who will make sure that you're doing it, and that's all because of Sean Bean. You're just doing Sean Bean voice, really. But that's how the audition process went. So I then got that, filmed that. That was a smallish part in episode 5, and then they rewrote me in, and the character name, they said, again, I had to get all kinds of security things on my phone, because any scripts that are sent to you can't be hacked by someone. You've got to get double security. My phone actually wasn't sophisticated enough for their security measures, so I had to go buy myself a new phone. And then eventually they said this character from now on should be called Dim Dalber, which I thought sounded like an awful name. And it proved to be more awful later on. But if you Google Dim Dalber, it'll bring up my name now, but it also brings up a Twitter handle of an American TV writer. Okay. And I think it's a joke. I think the TV writers who wrote it, it's a joke about their friend's Twitter handle. But Dim Dalber, on the inside of my glove, the scene I did season 6 is with Kit Harington, Jon Snow, and we were laughing about the name. He didn't think it was a good name either. I turned over my glove, and they misspelled Dim Dalber as Dim Dabbler, which I thought sounded even worse. So forever known as Dim Dabbler, you know. But yeah, so the audition process, and then you get to hear that you're doing it. You're obviously delighted. Do you want to know where it's all filmed? And
yes, please. I want to know what it was like being in these lovely warm temperatures, which it wasn't.
Well, nearly everything I do, if you have a beard and long hair and look like me, you're always up at a mountainside with it pissing down with rain. You're never in the sunny, warm climes of Seville or Croatia where they do all the other stuff in Game of Thrones. And the scenes, both times, the same scenes were filmed in a really wet, muddy quarry just up north of Belfast. So you stay in a very nice hotel, and the Hotel Europa, which my parents, when I told them that, were horrified. And when I got there, I realised why. It's the most bombed hotel in Europe, the Hotel Europa. And they've got pictures of every time the hotel was bombed, this is all in Belfast, all down the stairwell. It's a kind of source of pride. You go up in 1973, bombed. 1983.
It's like the worst TripAdvisor rating thing ever, isn't it?
It's like it's 5 on the tourist map now. So you stay in a nice hotel and you get ferried up, but then you spend 2 to 3 weeks up to your knees in mud, sitting in a tent with big names like I was working with Liam Cunningham, Christopher Hibbs, who plays Tormund, Kit Harington, and Sophie Turner, Sansa Stark. So all very nice, and we just have actors chats, and we all moan about actory things like how little work you're getting. At least they're getting plenty of work.
Now, I did hear a story from somebody. I know quite a few people who have appeared in Game of Thrones over the years, and a guy called Chris was in it for a couple of episodes, and he was saying that when a lot of the smaller parts weren't shooting, they were all like put in a cave. Go stay in a cave, and people walkie-talkie, because making sure they didn't run off and like, where's he gone? Where's he gone? Yeah. Is that potentially true? Or, we don't mean like locked in a cave. So
no, we were every time you were not doing your scene, you were in the tent.
Yes.
They are. It's more a case of when you're filming, it costs so much money, and it's not you that's costing the money. It's the other 50 people behind cameras, and whenever you're doing a take, nearly always when it doesn't work, it's not that your performance wasn't any good. It's the fact that the sound wasn't working, or the lighting wasn't right, or something, and then they have to do it all again. So you can't be, up the road, talking to the birds or something when they're ready to go. You have to be on and ready to go. But that can mean, I do know, in the season 6, I was also supposed to be in the next episode, the Battle of the Bastards, the big battle. Yeah. And I think my character was being set up rather than the guy who plays Tormund, who I look like an older version of. I think rather than him dying in that episode, the Battle of the Bastards, I think I was supposed to. But they moved the whole lot forward. Again, it's nothing to do with the actors, it's all to do with who's available to film it. 3 months forward. And I was in Bulgaria filming something else, so I couldn't do it. And I thought, oh, I've lost the job. I'm not going to be in Game of Thrones now. But they said, no, we want you to do all the speaking stuff. That'll be filmed back in November when it's supposed to be. All the fighting we've done now. Don't worry, you won't be there. So the good thing is my character didn't get killed off. But I did hear that it was pretty awful filming because the Battle of the Bastards took, it was supposed to be done in a week. It took 4 weeks. I know in particular Liam Cunningham, who plays Davos, got very frustrated. He was dragged up there every morning at 6 o'clock, sat in his coal tent in the mud and didn't get used. And at one point he sort of decided he was going to go back to the hotel and you can call me there, I'll be ready when you want from there. So it's not really that glamorous. Everyone says that, but it's a lot better than doing some other jobs, which I have done as well.
So what's the sort of, you've done some other jobs, what's the worst one you've done?
I've done. When I was a college student, my job was clearing up the loot. I used to go to Loughborough University, and the sportsmen wear purple. So they drank a thing called a purple nasty, which is a snake bite with blackcurrant. Okay. But most of it would end up in puke all over the floor in the loos. And my job was at the end of the night to go with one of those rakes and push that all into a little slump and get rid of it. So that's probably one of my worst ones, but I've done some pretty bad ones over the years.
What's, other than acting, of course, what's your favourite one that was non-acting?
Non-acting jobs. I can't remember. I've worked as security in places, and that's been fun. Oh, that's right. The Chippendales. You know the Chippendales?
Yeah.
The Chippendales came to London. A friend of mine works in the Strand Theatre. She said, "You're a big lad. Do you want to come and would you mind being on the doors because we need to look after the ladies and get a bit rowdy?" And it's good fun. But I have to say, they do get a bit rowdy. It was a bit of an out.
There was a need for security then.
Yeah. Well, didn't have to get to, but I did spend an awful lot of time having to talk to very tearful ladies who were. One in particular was very upset that Freddie Mercury had died. I think they used some of his songs in there. I just remember having to spend most of my evening talking to a very tearful Freddie Mercury fan. That sounds like it's a bad thing, but it was actually quite enjoyable.
That's pretty neat.
Anyway, back to Game of Thrones.
So, slightly off Game of Thrones, you encountered a gentleman called David Hughes.
Yeah.
The DVD is sitting on your desk downstairs of Gods and Warriors, which a few of us saw at a screening, and we've talked about a little bit. So, what is Warriors about? Don't say about Gods and Warriors.
No, well, its original name was Viking Destiny, and that's probably more accurate. It's a Viking film, a genre film, so it's largely the central character played by Anna Dimitriou is, I won't spoil the story, but it's David L.G. Hughes, his full name, lives in Sweden with his Swedish wife. He's got a young daughter, and he said he was fed up with watching Disney films with his daughter. He wanted Disney films with a bit more action. So he wanted to create a female character with more about her, and so he does. She's the lead character, and there is a tradition in Viking culture of the shield maiden, women who fought, went into battle. And actually, as we were doing it, The Guardian had a big article about they'd found a ceremonial burial ground, and it was for a woman, for a shield maiden. And so she, through the devious dealings of her uncle, doesn't realise she's the son of the king, and is thrown out of the kingdom and then has to fight her way back in and lead her people, the Viking people. While this is all going on, her character and other characters are being manipulated by the gods. The Norse believe strongly in that the whole world was determined by the gods. And in that one I play Loki, who's the god of mischief. And my counterpart, far more famous counterpart, would be Terence Stamp, who plays Odin. And really it's a sort of battle of wills between us that's going on behind the scenes as Anna's character, Hela, fights her way through. And so it's a very exciting film. And it was independent film, which is very difficult to finance these days. Nowadays, the film industry is either big blockbusters, they fill up all the studios, the Pinewoods, the Sheppertons. So it's very difficult for people to get independent films made these days. There's so many obstacles. So I'm a great admirer of David for being able to do that. A lot of it was Swedish money, so we had a lot of Swedish backers, so it felt like a proper Viking film. And we had a few Viking experts. There's one guy called Martin, who David met when he was researching the film, who does Viking reenactments. So like we have people doing the Roundheads and the Cavaliers, they have Vikings, so they live in the woods, and they build their own Viking longships, and they eat like Vikings did, and they hunt like Vikings did. And he came fully clothed in proper sort of medieval Viking kit. So it was well researched, and I think it's a very good film. It's a good job.
Some of it was actually filmed around this area as well, because somebody mentioned to me, it might have been Rob that mentioned it to me.
Snowdonia.
So I messaged, someone's filmed in London, didn't they? So I messaged David and said, is it true that some of it was filmed? And he went, yeah, and he told me which bit. Obviously I don't want to tell you which bit because it might ruin part of the film, but some of it was filmed locally to here, so which is pretty cool.
It was mainly filmed with money from Northern Ireland Film Trust, in the same places they filmed Game of Thrones. So we go the Dark Hedges, places like that. They're actually places that exist around where we were filming. But the bits shot in Llandudno and Snowdonia were where she has her wilderness years. The main character, Hela, is lost in the wilderness. She's been thrown out of the community, and she wanders across Snowdonia. And at the time, I'm trying to think what time of the year it was cold, and she was wearing, she was having to wear sort of lightish leather stuff, but it was freezing. Wouldn't have liked to have done it herself. And there's one scene when she's in a very cold lake that we shot near Pinewood actually as well. This was shot after the main bit of filming, and she had to get in the water.
Freezing.
Yeah, freezing. Yeah, it's very brave.
And we do have a clip. We've got 2 clips. I don't know which one's going to come up. So if you can play a clip, and then I'll work out which one it is. And it's either a trailer or a clip with Murray in it. One of the 2. I think it's a trailer.
You dream of all you will do when you achieve true power. But that dream is a nightmare. Because to achieve power, you have already done all that which you dreamed of. So what is left but emptiness? What else did you expect? A little more. Is it more you crave? Or is it her? You know she is out there. And you know that you will never be truly powerful until she is in Valhalla.
You pop up at various points throughout the movie causing mischief, because you're not a nasty god, are you?
No, he's not
mischievous.
The Vikings don't think of him as evil; they think of him as mischievous. I don't know how I differentiate between the two, but he's mischievous. So he's always. I think of him as a bored teenager, really. His dad Odin won't let him play, and so he makes
Causes trouble.
Yeah.
A 13-year-old god.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in a 75-year-old body.
So can we play the trailer, which will give more relevance to the clip you've just seen?
Grain by grain, aloof. Stone by stone, a castle. Warrior by warrior, a kingdom.
She's just a girl.
I'm a warrior. I'm a trained warrior.
You have learned all I have to teach you, Princess.
I thank you for the favor.
I may one day ask a favor of you in return.
Truth has one color, a lie many.
I will be your new king!
The one true heir of Volsung is a queen, not a king. You flatter me. I came here not to flatter my queen. I came here to fulfill your destiny.
A woman? The gods would never allow it!
Maybe the gods can stop me, but no man will!
never tire of watching that trailer on a big screen. So has anybody got some questions? Any Game of Thrones questions, or Gods and Warriors questions, or questions about?
I've done Doctor Who
He's
as well.
done Doctor Who. He's done Doctor Who. Outlander. You've done that as well.
Yeah,
Your
Outlander.
filmography's
Yeah.
huge.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
I don't bite.
No. Sometimes it's.
Any of you want to go into
Yeah.
acting? Any of you young people want to try out acting?
No.
Something I always say, because these... Oh yes, you've got... Great. Okay, well, I really think this is so much easier than it was when I started out. I said this at the last Manchester Comic Con. I'm actually from Devon. I grew up in a tiny village in the middle of nowhere, and I've still managed to eke out a living as an actor. And I think if that's your dream and you want to do it, now more than ever, you can do it. And the way to do it is just get out with your friends, get yourself, you can do it on your phone, you know, if your phone's half decent, or just borrow or hire a small camera, and write your own storylines, and either act out films you like, or write your own stories, and just put them on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And you'll find that that's a really good way of learning the process. You learn what works, you learn if you want to do the acting, how that works, but if you want to do directing, also how to structure scenes and so on. That is really the best way of doing it. And you don't have to go to film school, you don't have to go to drama school, you can do that, you can do it from here. And you've got some amazing scenery. The mountain bits you were in that clip, that's Snowdonia. Just go out and film stuff. And you'll find that, that you can use that as a ticket if you do want to go to film school, then you've got something to show them. But equally, you'll learn on the job. In this game, you learn on the job. It's great to go to drama school if you can afford it. I know a lot of people can't, it's a long way away. But there's so much you can do in your bedroom.
And another example as well, this wonderful lady there who stood up. Hi Annette,
Hello.
how you doing? We went on holiday to Malta, I think last year, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And we were doing that horrible thing on holiday where you check out your hotel room at 11 o'clock in the morning, but you don't get on the bus to go back to the airport till 7 o'clock at night. So you sit around doing nothing. Annette and I talked. She came up with the idea of a story, which Murray's just said. Write a story down, so I wrote it down on a piece of paper. And then when we got back, we decided we were going to make, as you've just said, let's try and make a film. And then today, from Neil Johnson, filmmaker downstairs, he's actually delivered me a camera, which I've saved up lots of money and bought it from him. And we are going to shoot our first film in a couple of months. I've never been to film school, but I learned from people like Murray, from people that make films, from talking to everybody. Just go out there and just make it. Enjoy it. That's the main thing. Enjoy making your films. There's never been a better time to do it than now. So, good luck. What type of films would you like to make? Action films. So big explosions and gunfights and whatnot. Well, there is a lady downstairs called Zara, who's one of the guests. Go over and ask her, just say, how did you get into action films? Because she's going to be on stage here later on. I've been following her career for about 5-6 years. She started off in a lot of independent films. And most recently she was in Doctor Strange, the big Marvel movie, and she is a great action star. So it'd be worth going downstairs and just tell Zara I said hi, and just ask her some questions. But good luck. I hope to see you on the stage in however many years talking about
in your first film.
Exactly. If you need this guy, give him a shout. No, good luck. Bob?
Have you got a dream role that you'd love to do that you haven't done yet?
I'd like to do more theatre again. Years ago, when I was starting out, I worked at the National Theatre down in London, just in small roles in bigger productions, and I think I'd like to play a lead back in the theatre again. But they're very different things. Filming, television and theatre are very different skills, but not skills, but different things. They're different methods of doing things. And I do prefer the filming. It's much more exciting. Also, once you've done it, it's there preserved. So I'd like to do the lead role in a film, but I'm not specific about it. There's no one part I'd like to play. But more films. But as I said, it's getting increasingly hard. You're either in an independent film, where the budgets tend to be quite small, or you're in a blockbuster, and unless you're better or something like that, you're unlikely to get offered that. That's more to do with your reputation, you know, how you get, whether you get cast in those kind of things.
And this was predicted. I know somebody predicted it maybe 5-10 years ago. They said this is what's going to happen. You're going to end up with films that cost $2 million, or films that cost 100 or 200. The middle films will disappear, and it was right. A lot of them are.
I auditioned. This isn't a big secret. I didn't have to sign a non-disclosure agreement for it, but I auditioned. Not auditioned. We did several read-throughs of. There's someone who has written an autobiographical film. A biographical film of Robbie Burns, Scottish family. So we've done several read-throughs for the director Vadim Jean for Lionsgate, and they did what was the big musical that won the Oscars?
Showman, Great Showman.
No,
La La Land.
La La Land. They produced that. So we did it around a big table, and the producers were there, all the actors, Bill Patterson, very well-known Scottish actors, all doing the stuff. And we did it 3 times, and then the last one I came back into the room because I left my coat in there. And there was a big argument going on between the producers at Lionsgate and the people who'd written the film, and they wanted to televise it. They didn't want them to do a film, and they were more or less saying, there's no money in small films anymore, there isn't, and we'll put it on television. And I spoke to the producer in the pub afterwards, who was a bit disheartened because they weren't going to get the money, quite obviously. And he was saying, you know, Netflix and Amazon, again, another prediction. What they do is they start producing stuff, people start watching it, and they take the market. And what happens is they gradually just nip away at you know, what they're paying, and gradually cut it down. So I think the best thing is to get around that is make your own stuff, do it yourself, and then bypass all of that. Sure. Yeah, I didn't really answer your question, did you? I don't have a particular role.
I think it was.
I just rambled on about something else. Thanks for the question.
Following on from what you were saying about the role of Netflix and other subscription services, how do you see them possibly changing the audience?
Well, it might be quite good for these smaller films actually, because they end up being shown on the cable and subscription. This one will very quickly, I should think, will end up on. In actual fact, it's getting a full cinema release in America. They took it to Cannes. That's an interesting story as well. Do you know the story behind how they got financing? Again, someone with setting up a film. The director, David L.G. Hughes, got his financing by going to Cannes without a film. He had a film idea, and he got some friends together, Scandinavians, Swedish, got them dressed up in Viking stuff, and did a couple of films, something they could show. You know, this is what our film idea is, here's a scene. They took it to Cannes, he met a producer, he said, well, I can get you money for this. And they liked the idea and ran with it. And that company's called, eventually they sold it, again, when they went back with Cannes with the film finished, to Sabine, which are big distributors, and they bought the latest Keira Knightley film, the Nicolas Cage film, and Al Pacino film. So 4 films, one of them's ours. So that'll get a cinema release in America in October as Viking Destiny, not as Gods and Warriors. And that's huge. In this country it had a limited cinema release, but almost immediately it's available through Amazon and subscription things. And I think that's actually quite a good, that's one positive thing I think will come out of it, is that independent films, the lower budget, Netflix and these other companies are going to be crying out for things like that they can buy relatively cheaply and make a profit from. So I think it's good and bad. I think it's quite a good thing for filmmaking, independent films, but not necessarily for actors' wages.
No. Any further questions? Oh, okay. So you've got some of these of Gods and Warriors DVDs downstairs.
I have,
I believe. Yeah. What else is on your desk?
Well, I've got a picture. There's one up there. That's Outlander. I haven't saw many of those. So if you'd like an Outlander, I can probably do a special deal. I don't look very well in that. I actually die shortly afterwards.
Oh, spoiler.
And I've got a nice one from Game of Thrones. There we go, Game of Thrones. I don't know if the other one's going to come up. I've got one of Doctor Who, because the part I played in Doctor Who is there's an episode with Maisie Williams in it about a Viking village. And I played Haston, who's the Viking. I think, are there any Doctor Who fans out there?
I'm pretty sure there's a few.
Well, okay, well, I didn't realise this at the time. I didn't know it was significant, but I broke his sonic sunglasses. And on Twitter it went wild because apparently everyone hated the Sonic sunglasses. So the picture is of me breaking his glasses. So you're welcome to come down and have that as well. But I also have got copies of the DVD and also a poster. Well, do anyone recognise Will Mellor from was it White Van Man and Packet of Crisps?
He was also Broadchurch and everything, wasn't he?
Broadchurch.
Nice guy as well.
But he's in that. But in the poster, which I've got a copy of downstairs, got Terence Stamp, who has always been an idol of mine anyway, very famous actor. I'm not sure all of you will know who Terence Stamp is, but some of you may. But anyway, he's in the top of the poster, and then it looks like he's got 2 pairs of earrings. One is me playing Loki, and the other one is Will Mellor. So you can have a look at that if you're downstairs as well. But do come and say hello, because it's my first one. I've not done one of these, so I don't quite know how they work.
I think it worked perfectly, though. I think, are you enjoying yourself so far?
Yeah, no, it's great. And I was really surprised about that. I don't know. I grew up near the sea, and so I love being by the sea, and this is amazing up here. Yeah.
It's a place to come when there isn't a convention on as well.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 teenage daughters, and I think it's a nice place to come on holiday anyway. I think. Yeah.
Definitely.
What's the weather like up here? Is it all right? It's Welsh.
Welsh. What does that mean? What does Welsh mean? Variable.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll come up on a sunny week.
Check the Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Sunny, I'm going to
Guarantee
catch a
that
train or
for me,
whatever.
great.
So, but no, thank you very much, Murray. Always a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on stage and having a conversation and whatnot. Good luck with the rest of your day, and I'm sure I'll catch up with you soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for turning
Enjoy.
out, everyone.
Thank you.
It's very